Welcome to a football show here on what I would imagine is the most gorgeous March 6th Monday afternoon in the history of Nashville, Tennessee. No, we're not all about hyperbole. It's just a fact here at the pharmacy. He is Zach Lyons. I am Braden Gall. Welcome to the show. We have a boatload of Titans news to get to today on the show. That includes Bud Dupree getting cut from the Tennessee Titans. We've got some combine stuff, which almost feels second nature or second hand right now because we've got so much more news. Rumors of Derrick Henry being traded. Of course, we told you about that, I think, an entire episode a couple of weeks ago about that it could happen, or last week.
Yeah, but there's a difference between saying it could happen and then them actively saying, we hate all your favorite players.
Which, of course, is the only thing that Twitter has seen, is that we hate all your favorite players. Signed, Rand Carthon.
You could almost say that all your favorite players are being ran out of town.
See what he did there?
That's why you come to the show.
We've got all these awesome, amazing people back here hanging out, eating burgers at the pharmacy. Of course, we are live today on what is a gorgeous day. I hope everybody's having a great day. Rate, review, subscribe. Jump into the comments if you want to. We've got Big Jeff talk because, oh my God, they hate him too. So much so that he has to get rid of Instagram. Anyway, trading up, Big Jeff, Bud Dupree, Derrick Henry. Derek Carr has found a landing spot, so the carousel is landing, and we got 2 victory laps for this big guy right here.
I only know one. What's the other
I'm going to give you 2 victory laps.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you 2 victory laps, and if you want to do it around the pharmacy in the middle of the show, just to see how fast you can do it, we could try that. We've got 2 great burgers. We've got some tots here.
No pharmacy combine for me today.
We've got a Goffel Kolsch here, which looks delicious. We've got the Barrique Smooth Schwartz beer, which I believe is local as well. So why do you come to the pharmacy? Not only for the great tots and all the fancy dipping sauces, the beautiful weather in the beer garden, and all the great food, but you also get locally sourced beers that you don't really get anywhere else.
That's right.
In Nashville. So come out and hang out with us at the pharmacy on this gorgeous Monday afternoon. Look at all these folks already streaming into the comments. We'll get to all you guys. Okay. Also, Kingston Group, by the way, buildkg.com. Make sure you check them out. Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm, award-winning, I might add. So if you need any work done on your house, big decisions about your house, don't do anything until you talk to the Kingston Group. So talk to the Kingston Group, buildkg.com. Big Jeff. So first he scrubs all the pictures of himself in Titans gear. He takes the Twitter Titans off his bio and eventually just gets rid of social media altogether, which I would argue is really smart mental health activity for all human beings, but especially ones in the middle of a contract negotiation. This is, in my opinion, standard operating procedure. I think it's part of like the agent.
Unfortunately,
it's part of the agent playbook. We know that Rand Carthon wants to do this behind closed doors. We know Big Jeff wants to sign a big contract and make a bunch of money. He's an extremely valuable asset to this team, maybe the best player on the team. This is, I know why Titans fans are getting worked up because of the A.J. Brown stuff, and they got some PTSD, and I know that's happened. But isn't this just like how this thing works now?
Right, but it doesn't necessarily. But more often than not, it works out in the favor of the player going to a different team. Like Deebo Samuel and Kyler Murray are in the minority, where everybody else that has done this has found themselves a better deal somewhere else. In my mind, I do not blame Titans fans for being scared, for Chicken Littling it all the way around Titans Twitter. I'm with you. But there is some positive to this. But the thing I really want to focus in on is the fact that the agent has said, no, we are going to negotiate this publicly, because this is a public negotiation move. If there were stuff and everything was going great behind the scenes, this stuff wouldn't matter. Deals usually get done in a quick way if everything's going the way the players want. But this is this is an example of an agent saying, you're not bullying me, Rand Carthon. You can tell me all you want. And this is what Rand Carthon said, that we are going to not publicly negotiate in the media, through the media. It's going to be kept in family. I've told agents, I've told players, it's going to be kept in house. Yeah, that ain't happening. And now that's okay. That's the whole point of negotiation. But I just find it interesting that not several days later, this whole Simmons thing has so many interesting ties anyway. But not a few days later, after Rand Carthon tells a story about his child wanting to be Jeffery Simmons' guy, about the negotiations, that here we are, negotiations are public, negotiations are in the eye, and the first blow of what could be perceived as discontent on where they're at in the negotiations is coming from the agent.
All right, can I play total happy unicorns and rainbows guy?
Yeah.
That like this could be a positive sign that they are close and that they just need a little push across the finish line. Because I would argue, and now I don't remember the exact quotes you just referenced about Rand and his son.
Yeah, there was a whole story at the combine about his son wanting to be. Is Jeffery Simmons going to be my dude, father?
Right. I would argue that's negotiating publicly to some degree.
Well, that's why I brought it in, because that is
right. It's like this. So I think
that there are negotiating publicly,
right.
But it's just funny that Rand said that we're not negotiating.
I think they're doing it as like, I don't know what the right phrase is, like barely public. They've crossed both, dipped a toe into negotiating publicly. Like they're not really negotiating publicly, because we've seen public negotiations where a player just sits out.
Well, AJ Brown,
leaning into it.
He leans into social media.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. This could be nothing. This could be, hey, he's rebranding social media because he did delete a lot of non-Titans pictures too. So maybe he's just a rebrand, or maybe
he's giving it a glow up.
It's just like it's potentially him just saying that, hey, the agent's like, hey, Big Jeff, let's just get you off Twitter, get you off social media. I am protecting you and insulating you, unlike what AJ Brown's agent did.
Now, I agree with that. Now, my argument for the positive on this is, it's just part and parcel of what we deal with now in all sports, not just NFL.
It's a ridiculous part of the negotiations.
It's just a part of it.
That, let me say something. The GM, nobody but Nate Bain in the Titans stadium cares that Jeffery Simmons unfollowed them. Nobody but Nate Bain.
Nobody cares. So here's my takeaway though, is that like it doesn't, like we don't know where they are. We don't know if it's the Titans are at 46 million and he wants 52 million guaranteed and he wants 23 a year and they're at 21 a year. We don't know any of those particular details. 2 years versus 5 years versus 11.
And we won't know till the deal's done.
We don't know the details. And what I would argue is the move by Simmons, albeit a subtle public thing here, doesn't change the facts of the negotiation in any way if you're a Titans fan. So while I understand PTSD from AJ Brown, I understand that this doesn't feel good, I'm losing my mind. To me, it doesn't actually change where they are on anything. It doesn't change what Rank Harthon's going to do. Like, he's not going to actually go give him more because Titans Twitter got upset about a social media scrub. They're going to give
even just a scrub. See, this is why it's a little bit different. That is why I lean towards that. It is a agent telling his client that saying, hey, these discussions we're getting in deep right now in these discussions. You got to stay off social media. You're going to hear
some bad shit you don't want to hear, because that's how negotiations work, right?
Yeah.
That's how you negotiate, is tell everybody all the bad things that they are so that you don't have to give them as much money, even though you really want them.
Yeah.
That's why you have an agent, Lamar. You let the agent listen to all the bad shit that the teams are saying about you.
If he didn't delete it, that would be different to me. To me, that's a different kind of move than what everybody wants to compare it to.
I'm actually optimistic because of all this. Like I go the
I think he's gone.
Oh, you think he's gone?
Not because of the social media stuff.
Okay. I feel like it means
the social media means nothing to me.
If I'm going to, I'm with you. It doesn't mean anything to me. But if I'm going to put meaning on it, to me, it says they're getting closer. Because the only other thing it can mean is they're so far apart it doesn't matter at all. And I don't want to be on social media getting my client in trouble, responding to jokers on eggheads on Twitter with a bunch of garbage. So like, there's a lot of different. We don't know any of this stuff, but they also could be like tomorrow they could be announcing a new deal. So I'm curious why you think it's not it's telling you this, but just that you think he's not going to re-sign and not be brought back. Because here's the fun thing about this show today. Derek Carr's going to the Saints. Victory lap for Zach coming up in a second on that one. Derrick Henry could be traded. He's being shopped. Victory lap for both of us, because we told you that a week and a half ago that was the case. It all ties into Derek. It all ties into Ryan Tannehill. But Dupree ties into all of this. It all works together to form the puzzle.
It's kind of all over the map for me. Essentially, the fire is a burning about the trade up, and this Jeffery Simmons ties in to the trade up. Because we talked. No, because nobody's going to trade a first.
No. I mean, like as a package, as part of the big package.
Nobody wants Derrick. Nobody wants that. You're looking to get to number one. They don't want Derrick Henry.
So the only reason I say that is that
you're getting us off track.
Right.
We're going to get to Henry later. We have a whole slide. I created it. I created a slide that says Derrick Henry.
Okay.
Simmons is tied into the number 1 pick. And because if you are asking the Bears to trade down to number 11 and forego Jalen Carter and forego Will Anderson, guess who's the player that they're going to want the most, that they can go ahead, sign to a long-term deal, not have to worry about it for forever, and boom, we have our defensive player that we want, and we still have a first-round pick.
More proven commodity than Carter and Anderson, and oh, by the way, we've got more cap space than literally every other team in the NFL. The only reason I mentioned Henry is you could package Henry with them too.
Yeah, like I said, if you see, you're not even listening.
I listen.
What I say about Henry. They don't want Henry.
They don't want Henry.
Okay, there we go.
I've been told. I've heard 4 different teams that want Derrick.
Was Chicago Bears one of them?
Would be potentially interesting, and the Chicago Bears were one of them.
Okay,
so
you were saying
this is offhand, other guy, offhand.
So this is like when who was it? Bobby Bones went on the Rich Eisen show and said that his friend is the neighbor to where Aaron Rodgers' contract. So this is that kind of sourcing.
No. This is
Aaron Rodgers' contractor talked to Bobby Bones' neighbor, who's his friend, and Aaron Rodgers was going to be a Tennessee.
So a couple of weeks ago on the show, David, I believe, Jeff Darlington was on ESPN, and he said he floated the idea of some teams being interested. I did a little background work on that, and I asked how serious was this? Were you floating this speculatively as a person that you just are a reporter and you're having fun on TV, or do you think there's actual interest from other teams? And I was told it's like offhand from another guy, so I'm not going to go out and tweet it, but basically that there are a few teams that are interested, that the Titans are interested in listening, which is all common sense because you've laid that out before, that they've got to get the money off the books. Again, I'm not trying to get ahead of the rundown here, but I think the Bears, because they have no real threat to package with Justin Fields the way Josh Allen doesn't have a threat to package with him, that I think and all the cap space to take a $10 million running back, I think the Bears could be more interested. To your point, I don't think you need so much more stuff.
Yeah, but
to
I feel
get the
like
number 1 pick.
At that point, then you're not giving up the 11th overall pick. Like if you're trading Henry and Simmons, you don't give up the 11th overall pick unless you're getting picks back.
Let me ask you this:
it's too complicated for this Bears situation.
I tend to agree with you, and again, I'm just floating it because I think it's interesting. Would you trade the 11th pick, Derrick Henry and Jeffery Simmons, for the number 1 pick?
No,
you'd need more.
I
need
need more back.
Okay,
I think you're. I mean, I guess it's okay because you're not giving up first later on down the road, but those first-round picks don't mean anything to me.
I would give up the future first-round picks before I would give up the other stuff.
So let's talk about this because let's transition into this quarterback talk, but specifically surrounding the Bears and Jeffery Simmons and how it could tie in. Peter King of Football Morning America talked to Ryan Proles and released the article out this morning. There was a lot of interesting tidbits, so I'm going to go through those tidbits just real quick. Should we do this before free agency or should we wait? Ryan Poyle said. I don't know. That's what I've communicated to teams. I could carry this all the way until we're on the clock the night of the draft, but then there's teams that want some certainty because if I need a quarterback bad, should I do that now when some of these guys like Derek Carr are out there, which he's not anymore?
Right.
To me, they've got to go so much more above to do it now. They got to go so much more above what the normal asking price would be to get to the number 1 overall pick. Ron Proles is saying this.
They're willing to be patient.
Yes. I'm not greedy with it, but they're going to have to go above and beyond to close the door now.
Interesting.
I'm blessed to be able to read people, Poles said, about the quarterback market. I can feel it. There's urgency out there. There's pressure. There's been 3 interested parties, heavily interested parties at the Combine, Poles said, included at least one that's further back than what I thought. But if I'm going to that next tier on the Bears draft board, you're going to have to make up for that with more capital. Not more draft capital, more capital. Capital, a player is considered
assets. Capital. The Colts are absolutely one of them.
Yes.
The Colts are 1,000,000% one of them. They have an extraordinary sense of urgency, and they need the quarterback.
I would say that they should have a sense of urgency, but I'm not entirely convinced they do unless they really fell in love with someone this weekend that it didn't really seem like they were going to be.
That's possible. Again, you and I both believe that most quarterbacks were
Let me say this. Did you see the Colt scout in the running back drills yesterday throwing some bombs? They should be putting him. I mean, he was a lot better than anything they fielded yesterday. He was killing it yesterday.
Just some guy at the combine.
Yeah, he was, I mean, he's on the Colts staff.
I like it. look, we touched on this conversation sort of loosely on Thursday's episode where we said, what's more valuable, Jeffery Simmons or the franchise quarterback? And it's without question the franchise quarterback, but you have to trust there's a lot of moving parts there.
You have to bank that this is going to be a franchise quarterback.
And trust your evaluation, and maybe you've got a perspective on Simmons that they don't have, or there's a lot of different ways that it could be worth it. Now, I do think we undersold Simmons a little bit from a positional value because interior pressure I still think is almost as valuable as exterior off the edge pressure in the NFL right now. It disrupts the quarterback quicker. So I think we devalued maybe an elite player at that position, maybe more than we needed to. But that's just nitpicking our own product basically. If it's Simmons and the 11th, what else needs to be a part of the deal for it to make sense for you?
Well, I think for the Bears, it's probably going to be another first-round pick. I think it's going to be 2 first-round picks in Jeffery Simmons, which, again, first-round picks are meaningless. Like, they're ultimately a worthless asset that's overvalued in the NFL because, to me, getting the franchise quarterback is important, and that's why you trade up and get rid of these first-round draft picks. You're not trading up these first-round draft picks for Jalen Carter or any other player.
Right.
It's for the franchise quarterback.
Titanic said, would it be just Simmons for the number 1 pick? And the answer is no. It's Simmons and probably your own Titans pick, and then probably another pick at minimum. Now, here's my question. How do you feel about waiting the game out? Like, what happens if – I mean, we don't know what the Titans draft board looks like, but if they only have the one guy, then the Bears is the only slot they can go to because, if you go to 3 with the Cardinals, there's a chance your guy, you better love Richardson and Stroud and Young equally than if you're going to go to the Cardinals.
Yeah, to me, it's like it's a delicate balance that you are having to walk down the line because right now you have Ryan Tannehill as your insurance policy. So the longer you wait, then the more his market dries up. So if you're waiting at the draft, you're not getting as much for Ryan Tannehill if the plan is for the quarterback to start day 1, week 1, and for Ryan Tannehill to be gone.
Yeah.
And for you to get draft assets out of him. So the longer you wait, that is the issue. Then there's the Aaron Rodgers problem, which is first off, every Titans fan needs to be rooting for retirement or for him to go to Green Bay. Back to Green Bay.
I completely agree.
No ifs, ands, or buts. That is the ideal situation now that Carr obviously was always going to sign with the Saints, like I predicted on February 3rd.
There's the first victory lap.
But obviously that has to happen. He has to go to Green Bay. So how long does he take? Because then once he is gone, you are maximizing your value for Ryan Tannehill.
There's a sweet spot.
It's a sweet spot.
There's a sweet spot where there's just 1 or 2 or 3 teams that desperately need a quarterback. Not 5 and not 1.
Yeah.
You want a couple of options. And I think I said this on ESPN Radio over the weekend. I think Tannehill's going to be a Jet. I think he's going to be a Jet. Now, you're not able to take the victory lap yet on Aaron Rodgers. But you sort of were the first person that's talked to me about, I think he's coming back, and I've always felt like he was done. Retirement could be maybe where I'm leaning now. That's a lot of money to walk away from. But if he stays in Green Bay and the Saints have their guy, you've got basically Garoppolo. You've got a bunch of also Rams, right?
Yeah.
Mayfield and Darnold and all these other guys in the bottom, that like Bridgewater or whatever. There's only 2 guys really left, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Tannehill and Garoppolo. And if there's at least 2 teams that need a quarterback, you've got some leverage. But if there's only one, you're out of leverage.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is that you have a good opportunity to get rid of him right when Aaron Rodgers decides. You have to hope. I've heard today, I don't know how much you know about the running gag of Leroy, the news breaking dog or whatever, but it's PFT's dog, PFT commenter's dog. Yeah. And now he has broken stories before Schefter, and because I always see that he tweets it, and then like Schefter will tweet it later, and then he'll be like bark bark woof woof. Give me credit because he said it first. He said this morning that he's hearing that Aaron Rodgers is going back to Green Bay. That. Bark bark woof woof. I still think that's the likelihood. The longer even Ian Rappaport said on Pat McAfee's show, the longer we wait, the more likely it is that Aaron Rodgers goes back. So the problem is you just can't have him wait too long. You need to really have that answer this week. And now that
I think we're going to get it.
I think so too. I think we'll get tomorrow because he's on Pat McAfee, I'm sure, tomorrow.
I was told by Wednesday-ish this week that he could expect a decision because all the front office people go back to Green Bay and they were going to wait till after the combine, then they're going to meet today and tomorrow, and then maybe have a decision by Wednesday is sort of the general timeline that I understand. So again, on Thursday, that is your Wednesday when the news breaks, or Thursday, whenever it happens. That is the window to call the Jets.
Yes.
That's the window. I mean, or whoever else.
Yeah, the Jets, the Raiders.
That's the window.
I mean, I know the Panthers and the Buccaneers probably weren't ever in that particular sweepstakes, but those are other teams that need quarterbacks specifically because Derek Carr just went in their own division.
Yep.
And there's other opportunities. There's a lot more opportunities. I think the Commanders is still an opportunity out there. There's a lot of opportunities for you to start picking up traction. Everybody's been waiting for Carr and been waiting for Rodgers.
Yep.
And guess what? Carr didn't wait around, didn't think he would. He decided to get his money, get his deal done. Now it's Rodgers' turn, and then it's going to be everybody else that follows suit.
And that's the right order. I mean,
Yeah,
the guy who's the free agent goes first. The guy who's the best player maybe at his position, not named Mahomes, is the next one. I think it's interesting to look at the contract to compare it to Tannehill, and I think it actually bodes well for Tannehill because, again, 4 years, $150 million. What matters is the $70 million guaranteed. That's 37.5 and some change per year, which is, wait for it, more than Ryan Tannehill for the Tennessee Titans this year for a comparable quarterback. I think that is I saw the numbers for Carr, and my first thought was, look how attractive Ryan Tannehill's contract is for a prospective trade partner.
Yeah, and we still don't know. We know that ultimately it sounds like it's a 2-year, $60 million deal, 3-year, $70 million deal right now, with upwards of $30 more million in guaranteed that could pop up in some form or fashion. We just don't know how or when. It's not fully guaranteed. So ultimately, those are the numbers that we know so far. It's not going to be a $150 million deal. That's not going to happen.
Right.
It's going to be at most a 4-year, $100 million deal, which is what? $25 million a year, which is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I did not think that these other numbers that fit other $50 million that's kind of out there is like an inflated number that's not really going to matter for Derek Carr's money.
There's always like funny money in contracts that you got to kind of see.
So, like, you're right.
Through.
This does make Tannehill's contract look good. But going back to trading up, right? So, obviously, if you're trading up, you are going to have to – you are getting your guy, right? And the Titans have identified their guy. Now, I'm not going as far to say that it's C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, but I will go to say that it's one of those two.
It's not Richardson.
It's not Richardson. It's not Will Levis. But
it's definitely not Will
Levis.
From
everything we've heard over the weekend, they are using the phone lines and wearing their phone lines out. And from TD, he's hearing that their favorite guy is C.J. Stroud. So let's break this down real quick. Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers of the NFL Stock Exchange for PFF, Pro Football Focus, episode 154 just came out, and they said, and I put this up on Twitter, we've heard that Tennessee is also one of these teams that's been, I don't want to say aggressive, but making the most out of their phone lines, calling the teams at the top, seeing if they can go up and get a quarterback. Now, I believe is on Thursday on 102.5 The Game on Stillman and Company, the TD Power Hour, Teron Davenport, which this did not get as much play as I thought it should or would have because it's pretty big. But he said he's hearing that C.J. Stroud is their favorite guy. Okay, sounds like to me the C.J. Stroud's their favorite guy.
That's not crazy.
And because of his accuracy and his anticipation. And guess what Rand Carthon looks for? Accuracy and anticipation. He specifically said that about the quarterback on the Green Light Pod right after he got this job.
Yep.
Let me say something about all of this. All of this is technically it's Lion season. This is a lot of different smoke for there not to be some sort of fire.
So I completely agree. Also, like if you just take 5 seconds and use some reason and logic and look at last year's quarterback class and this year's quarterback class, it is not hard to see why somebody would be worth spending to go get, especially when you are closer than, and we've talked about it, like you're closer to being in that window to go up and get them than you've been in 6-7 years. There's no telling how good this team could be next year. They could be terrible and be top 5. They could be much better and be like 21st. So you have to look at it as an opportunity. And how do you maximize that opportunity? And if you think C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, I am curious. This is what I want to know the most from it. The number one question coming out, and I know we're going to talk combine later, but I want to know if scouts view Richardson close enough to Young and Stroud to say there is a 3-person board that if you get to the Cardinals, you're good with any of the 3. That's what I want to know. Because Will Levis is not in this conversation.
No.
But is Richardson if Richardson, Stroud, and Young are close enough together that you can go to 3 and get some and still get your guy, that's what I want to know.
I would say there are probably scouts that would say that, and I would say that there are probably teams who think that. Do I think the Tennessee Titans are that team that would? I have a hard time believing it.
Okay.
But there's something else that goes in all this talk. Okay, so we're talking about C.J. Stroud. We're talking about them trading up. We're talking about them being aggressive. This is not the first time we've heard these aggressiveness rumors about them trying to get up to the first-round pick. To me, it seems like, hey, you heard what Ryan Poyle said. He said, hey, we could take our time, and you're going to have to come hard and come fast if you are going to come for this first-round pick. And right now.
Which is where Simmons comes in.
In. But this also lets me know they've given up on Malik Willis. Can we all just agree on that now?
I mean,
there's no hope for Malik Willis.
When Josh Dobbs won the job, I feel like most
But
people
everybody's
like,
taking the word. Okay, look, when a coach or a staffer, a front office staffer or whatever, is asked in an interview, hey, how do you feel about Malik Willis's progression? Yeah, we really like what we've seen from Malik Willis. You know, he's putting in the work. He's coming in. You know, we're trying to help him out. We're hoping that he takes that next leap. That's standard operating procedure.
Yeah, it's just words.
They did not give that stuff up unprompted. People are like, well, they just talk about Malik unprompted. No, they were specifically asked fucking questions about Malik Willis. So they just said the normal stuff. If they were sold on Malik Willis, you would not hear a lick of rumors about them trading up. It is dead. It is over.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
And it's been over, but it's now time to come take all the evidence, put it in a blender, blend it up, drink it down like a humble shake, and shut the fuck up. I haven't dropped an F-bomb today, so that's my
there you
F-bomb.
go. You got to get one in. Also, great shakes here at the pharmacy. These tots I've been eating right here with all these fancy dipping sauces. You got the horseradish mustard. You got the beer cheese mustard. You got this spicy barbecue sauce here. All these beautiful tots right here at the pharmacy, of course, in East Nashville. So come on by. They do have a milkshake. You can get a fucking milkshake inside if you want. They got a soda rail in there for the kids. No F words, though, around the kids, please. And, of course, burgers. We got the great burgers here. Kingston Group as well. BuildKG.com, our two great sponsors, the pharmacy and the Kingston Group. Make sure you support local businesses.
I will say this, thanks to Titanic for putting this in the chat, but the Chiefs are not tagging Orlando Brown. They're still hoping to get a deal done, but they are not franchise tagging Orlando Brown. Left tackle says another left tackle hitting the market.
So which is good. I've got a couple of questions for you here, and kind of how all of this fits together. Tannehill,
because we still haven't even talked about the implication of Tannehill with the draft pick.
Yes, having Tannehill here to have, and that's where I think you go. That's where I think 3 with Richardson makes more sense to me, because then Richardson could sit behind Tannehill for a year, and then
is this why you wore your Gators hat today?
It's not technically a Gators hat. It was a gift from the in-laws. It is orange here. There you go. You can see it.
It is Florida orange.
It's also Tennessee orange. It's not Florida orange technically.
It's orange. Okay, so let's break this hat down.
Hang on. Florida orange is dirtier and trashier than this one.
Okay, it's orange.
This is clean orange,
and it's a gator eating an orange.
And it says easy living.
Easy living. So that means so the Gators eating an orange, go Big Orange, Tennessee Volunteers, and Florida versus Tennessee, big rivalry. We see where your allegiances lie.
Basically, I'm an Anthony Richardson, Billy Napier cuck. That's what it is. I am here for Anthony Richardson.
Heard it here first.
I'm here for Anthony Richardson. I will say I've been obsessed.
CSI hat.
It was a gift from the in-laws, and it must be worn.
It must be worn.
And he listens to the show.
And I bet they are laughing, because I bet they bought that knowing that it's a Florida hat, and they never wanted to tell you it's a Florida hat.
Are
they Florida fans?
They live in Florida. They live in Florida. So, but no, he's a huge. My brother-in-law is a huge Titans fan. He married into a Florida family, and once you're a Florida family, you can't get out. Sorry, buddy.
I think we know this is a Florida hat.
You're stuck down there.
It is a Florida hat. Florida Gators, University of Florida fan.
No, his wife's family's they're Miami Hurricanes fans. So just chill out over there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Either way, I'm obsessed with Anthony Richardson, but I was before the combine. The question is, again, at 3, can you get up to 3? Is my question. And if Anthony Richardson is your guy, I don't think I'm with you. I don't think the Titans love him. But let me ask a couple of questions here.
Okay.
From the whole outfit says Clemson. That's fair. Go to the pharmacy, everybody. So a couple of questions and observations from the chat here. I think Michael, Titanic, Stoney, Kevin, a few of you guys, Daniel, talking about the giving up the picks versus Simmons. If this, I'm trying to prioritize in your mind Simmons versus just picks. If you can re-sign Simmons and go up and still get your guy, in which case you probably then have to create some more cap space. I don't know. I don't know how that works together.
It doesn't. There's there's nothing about cap space at this point in time that is going to affect the Jeffery Simmons deal because his cap hit does not hit until 2024. So we have 120 to 150 million dollar in cap space. So not a big deal. Here's the issue with this: is that in this same article, Football Morning in America this morning, Peter King, Pro Football Talk, whatever it's from. Listen,
one of those places.
This is what. Well, I think they're all the same now, but they mention the timetable for being able to trade 2026 draft picks. So at the start of the league year, you can officially do 2023, 2024, and 2025. Right at the beginning of the draft and the start of the draft, you can add in 2026. So the reason no deal's been done, because I guess I never knew this, but I guess there is a legal loophole of how many years out you can trade draft picks. Okay,
makes sense.
So it makes sense, but I didn't know that there actually was one.
Is that at the start of the first pick or whatever?
Yeah,
like
so started at the first pick. So technically, if you want to keep Simmons, you have to have an agreement with the Bears that say, hey, the start of the clock, we're going to trade you 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026.
You think it's four picks now?
I think,
Woo!
and I think that's all you have to trade. I don't think you're going to have to trade
just
four firsts.
Just four firsts.
Yeah,
that's all.
Nothing. They're unimportant. First round picks are unimportant. I think that's what you're going to have to do. Like, this is what he's saying. I mean, this is what they're talking about. This is being talked about and written about because these are the conversations that Poles is having this whole time. So, like, to me, it's like, I don't know. I know everybody really loves Simmons and all this stuff. My God, I sure would love a franchise quarterback. And I think that Young and Stroud have the best chance of being a franchise quarterback.
I agree. I want both. How about that? I'm just greedy.
Well,
and
then
I want
give
both.
up the first round draft picks.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, you find the right price point and you go get your guy. Like, you can almost remove Simmons from the equation because, again, you already said it. The cap hit doesn't matter. You can remove Simmons from the negotiating table and just say, look, let's negotiate like two normal teams trading from 11 to 1.
Well, we know they've been talking since the Senior Bowl, right? I mean, that's when the rumors still started popping up. The Titans were interested in number 1 pick. So this probably has been all over the map, and the Titans are still one of the teams still in it.
Yeah.
You know, and obvious conversations that are being had at the combine. Now we're in the next step, right? Now you got free agency to the draft. A deal is going to get done for this number 1 overall pick. That we know.
Probably.
We know that Titans are really have been like pursuing this hardcore. Like it's like a girl turning you down for a date, and they're just keep coming back until you say yes. And
that okay? Are you okay with that from Ran Carthon?
Yes.
Or is that a little too desperate
conviction.
right now?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
There is no such thing as desperation when it comes to getting your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, acquiring a permanent asset.
That is not desperation. That is conviction.
All right.
And that is a good sign for, first off, your GM. It's a good sign for your GM and head coach's relationship because guess what? Mike Vrabel's in on all this. This isn't Ran Carthon.
Yeah.
This is Mike Vrabel and Ran Carthon actively shopping for the first round pick and possibly actively shopping Derrick Henry.
Well, I guess we're going to get to that here in a second too. I am curious because there's so much of this and we've tried to separate. I think on this show, on F Words, on all the 440 shows, we try to separate sort of the noise, the empty calories, the social media conversation, callers and talk show radio, which are, again, the very, very, very loud, minute, tiny sliver of the fans that just they have to scream and yell. Separating all of that stuff from like the real nutritional hardcore content, which is like, oh, by the way, Anthony Richardson didn't change anybody's opinion of him. Most GMs already had an opinion of him. Titans either have Stroud or Young at number 1, whatever. Simmons scrubbing social media doesn't actually change where they are at in the negotiation. There's so much. Derrick Henry being shopped. Fans are going to lose that's the one where I know fans would lose their mind if they traded him. But if you're going to look at it rationally and shrewdly and cynically, we all know where he's at in his career, the age, the cost, everything. And if you can save your $7 million, you make the move and you acquire another asset, especially if you're going to use some of those assets to go get your franchise quarterback. So it all works together.
Yeah.
And right now, the Tannehill market is
starting to heat up.
Yes, it's getting a little bit stronger.
Sizzling.
And if they loved Ryan Tannehill, we've said this so many times on the show, if they loved Ryan Tannehill and they were like, we're in it with you in the foxhole, dude,
you wouldn't hear about any of this.
Wouldn't they already have a deal, an extension? So this is all you got to just sort of take the obvious stuff for what it is.
And to be honest, just because he signs an extension does not mean he's not getting traded because there are sign and trades, right? You could do a sign and trade in the NFL. You sign him to a good extension. makes them even more. That takes a lot of pressure off of other teams to have to do their own negotiation because they're like, oh, this is a pretty damn good deal, and we're good to go.
So Daniel says, would you trade Simmons in an 11 or go up? I guess go up to get the Seahawks pick at 5. I don't
and get number 5 and number 20.
And get 5 and 20. I don't think you get what you need at 5. That's my problem. The only reason I'm even entertaining the Cardinals is that if you believe Anthony Richardson is not a huge step behind the other 2, then you've got 3 that you feel good about, and you take the one that falls to you. And doesn't matter who trades up, because that's what the Bears guy's talking about. He's saying, like, somebody's desperate, they're going to make a move, and if you can lock yourself in at 3, you're good. Use logic here, Titans fans. That's what I would say. Use logic. They don't have a franchise quarterback. They never really have. They've got a brand new general manager with a new offensive staff and a head coach who knows what he's doing, and a defense that's pretty good.
And they got an offense that sounds like they really want to start, like, it sounds like
slinging
when
it
you
around.
take all this stuff, like when you take all this stuff and put it together, it really sounds like they know that what they've had is not good enough, and they have to acquire assets and make room and spend money and allocate resources wisely, which is something that John Robinson really had a problem doing. You see that they cut Bud Dupree. You see that they've cut off Taylor Lewan and Robert Woods that was traded away for a draft pick and was expensive, and then they allocate a resource. Like, all this stuff that they are doing is to basically undo the bad resource management that John Robinson has done, and that includes Derrick Henry's contract.
Yeah, I mean, $16 million is what you pay him if he stays on the Titans this year for a 30-year-old who's got, almost 1,600 carries. This is about the time of every NFL running back's career that it starts to drop off, and I know that the sentimental Titans fan, again, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, the sentimental Titans fan wants him to break Eddie George's rushing record, to get all of the Hall of Fame numbers here. I get it, but what if you could get, like, Jack Campbell out of the deal? What if you're getting Jalen Hyatt?
What if you're securing Darnell Washington in the deal?
Right. What if
because
you're
like Darnell at 41 seemed pretty good up until the combine.
If you get an early third, you could get a starting offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You could get a starting tight end. You could get a starting wide receiver if you got a 3rd round pick for Derrick Henry.
Yeah. To me, it's just like you look at everything that they're doing. This is all being done with Mike Vrabel's consent. We know that the John Robinson stuff wasn't. But this is all being done. These conversations are not being had without Mike Vrabel knowing about them and consenting to them, right? Like,
is there anybody arguing against that?
Well, everybody's like, well, Rand Carth on this, Rand Carth on that, Rand Carth on this. No, it's Mike Vrabel and Rand Carth on this.
He just got here.
Yeah, like these negotiations do not happen without Mike Vrabel. So if you're going to say, well, I can't believe fire Rand Carthon now if he's trying to get rid of Derrick Henry or Jeffery Simmons, you can't do that. Mike Vrabel won't allow that to happen. It wouldn't have gotten this far without Mike Vrabel. This is not an A.J. Brown situation.
Yeah. Now, there's also a chance that they're shopping him and that they just can't get a deal. They're not willing to part with him for a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
And if that's what happens and that's what they decide to do, that's not where Vrabel's not involved in that stuff. That's where, like, Carthon does all the heavy lifting, all the dirty work. The strategy decisions are made by Mike Vrabel.
Well, let's talk about this shopping Derrick Henry thing. Mike Silver of Bally Sports said, according to my sources, all of them current general managers. Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry, Los Angeles Rams cornerback Jalen Ramsey, and Arizona Cardinals receiver DeAndre Hopkins are among the players who have been shopped in recent days. Those last two, duh. But for Derrick Henry to be up with those last two tells you how serious. And it's not that they are listening to offers. They are shopping him.
They're being proactive.
They are being proactive.
Yep.
And that involves Mike Vrabel. So that changes the whole narrative where we're talking about, Mike Vrabel, he creates these relationships, and, he may really like, that Derrick Henry finishes out his career. But also Mike Vrabel wants to win. And the best way to win is to reconfigure your team. And sometimes to reconfigure your team for a glow up, you have to get rid of some assets.
Check out Football and Other Efforts, by the way, for an explanation on that one. Great place to go. Also, Stacking the Inbox, by the way. We have not mentioned that. StackingTheInbox.com.
Combine takeaways going on right now. And if you are a subscriber, you also get, I haven't updated the bench press numbers yet, but you also get access to the Combine data sheet. Had to write the article, and then all this news started breaking, and I had to get all my notes done.
No bench press numbers for
they'll be there.
Guys in there. Although I was using that spreadsheet on when I was working on radio over the weekend. I had my handy dandy Stacking the Inbox spreadsheet up there, looking at all those RAS scores.
There you go.
Just
and name
drooling over Jack Campbell and a few other linebackers that I think will be available for the Titans should they not re-sign David Long in the second and third rounds? That is. All right.
So I mean,
So let's get to Stoney says that data tool is stupid deep. It's worth $1,000.
There you go. It's worth 10 Joker Funkos.
Stoney, can you represent all of us in our negotiations moving forward?
But like this
Pharmacy, by the way, and the Kingston Group.
But this Derrick Henry thing is pretty important. It's not to be glossed over because Mike Silver, first off, used to work for NFL Network. He used to work for NFL Network, now with Bally Sports. He's a legit reporter, and he's hearing this from other GMs, and these may be GMs that are trying to drive down Derrick Henry's market or something, or doing maybe an agent a favor. But these are other GMs, current GMs. This isn't, well, one anonymous scout told me, or one ex general manager expects Derrick Henry to be traded. They are actively shopping. They are taking him and they're saying, hey, look at this guy. You can have an easy extension and a future Hall of Fame running back into his career with you. Just give us some draft picks.
Yeah, like, again, his hit right now for somebody else is $10 million.
Yeah.
That is not a big ask for somebody. It's $16 million for the Titans if they keep him, which is a lot to pay for a running back in his position, albeit with plenty of sentimental value and value to the team.
Listen, again, this is another contract that could easily turn into an extension.
Yep.
Listen, Derrick Henry's not worried about. He's at Dallas Maverick games. He's in Texas hanging out. I mean, he doesn't care. Listen, this right here should let you know that contract negotiations for these players for extensions to try to keep them are A, not even happening, or B, they're happening and not progressing where the Titans need it to do. That means that the Tannehill and Henry are trying to ask for way more money than what the Titans are willing to give them.
Yeah.
And they're going to okay, cool. We're going to try and work something else out here.
I mean, there's a possibility, too, that if you package that with a new general manager wanting to create his own organization with Mike Vrabel's strategy sort of approval, right? That, like, again, we said this on the last episode, like they're 75% of the way down the full rebuild mode already anyway. You've hired a new offensive line coach, an offensive coordinator. If you trade your quarterback and your running back and have a new GM and go up and draft a number one pick, like that's the whole rebuild all in one offseason. You've done the whole thing already because you don't want to deal with the defense. You want the defense to just kind of
and don't you think that
pieces.
with like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, if those are the quarterbacks you get, don't you think this team has a higher ceiling than they would if they ran it back with Tannehill and Derrick Henry?
Oh, man.
I mean,
no.
You don't think it's a higher ceiling?
I think it only takes 1 year. I think by the second year, your ceiling's off the charts because otherwise you don't make the move. Your point is valid. There's no.
Yeah, you would make the move.
You would.
Right?
No, what I mean is if the ceiling wouldn't.
I think Bryce Young in the stuff ceiling's higher.
That's what I'm saying.
And I think it's higher year one.
It's possible. I don't know. I think there's too much veteran experience with Henry and Tannehill. I think they would
really came in handy, that losing streak, that veteran experience.
Well, they were banged up, and I know what you're saying. I just don't think it's fair to throw a rookie quarterback with that offensive line and whatever.
Well, probably be a better offensive line,
hopefully.
Well, what I'm saying is just because now you have more money off your books to pay for the offensive line, and maybe take a big swing at Andre Dillard, who's going to have a bigger market, or maybe one of these Mike McGlinchey is going to have a bigger market.
I think it's a great question. I think it's a lot to ask of.
I know the career outlook, or the yearly outlook,
the
long-term outlook is better.
I think it's a lot to ask of. I mean, Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie year. I think it's a lot to ask a rookie quarterback, albeit a very good one, to be better than both Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill as veterans where they are. I think the break-even point, for lack of a better term, if you refi your house,
close.
It's very close. And I think maybe by the end of the first year, you're starting to see the reason you go get the quarterback.
Okay, what if they were able to hold on to their second, pick up some extra picks from Derrick Henry, and they end up with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, Darnell Washington, Jonathan Mingo.
I know you love Darnell Washington.
Yeah, Darnell Washington, Jonathan Mingo, and a couple other players. Yeah, a couple offensive linemen. There's a couple of layers like John Gaines, who's a guard out of UCLA, who tested off the charts, who's going to be a worthy pick. That is going to be a bargain for somebody.
I think one of these pieces. I like where we're going here. One of these pieces, be it left tackle, be it quarter, like running back. I think one of them has to be a veteran. One of them has to be an asset that's kind of already a proven commodity. Whether that's guard, whether that's left tackle. I don't think it has to be running back. Maybe receiver. There's not a good receiver market in the free agency crop, so maybe it's not that position. Maybe you're okay with the younger receivers, building around Traylon Burks and Chigakonkwo. I think you do need a veteran piece somewhere. Like, I don't want to go to bat with Bryce Young a rookie tackle, a rookie guard, a rookie receiver, a rookie tight end. Like I don't, because here's the other thing we haven't talked about. You could trade Jeffery Simmons just for picks, right? And just stock up this year. Use some of those to maybe go get Bryce Young, but also restock some of those positions of need. You lose Simmons, of course, but I mean, I don't know. I don't want to see all rookies.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Real talk, real quick. The Titans traded away A.J. Brown last year. They trade away. Hypothetically, they trade away both Jeffery Simmons and Derrick Henry this year.
And Tannehill.
What does Tannehill doesn't really matter, but in this conversation, what does that tell you about Amy Adams Strunk and Mike Vrabel's view of these so-called legacy franchise kind of players? Like, what does that tell you if all three of those guys are gone? What does that tell you about this team and their outlook towards players?
I think Simmons is the only one that I would take something from.
Okay.
I think Henry is the time to trade him. I think
trading was like week 7.
This is the time to trade Derrick Henry, or a little while ago, a little while forward, whatever. But like this is the window. I think logically this is the window. Man, I think cutting Lawan, I don't think that matters. That's also right move, right time. I think if something happened to Byard on top of what you're talking about, then I think we can start to say like that was an old generation of Titans football that they want to clean house from, not to mention the giant contract. I don't know. I think Simmons is the only one that I would say, okay, that shows me something about their strategy, unless it's just an individual Simmons thing, but that doesn't strike me as accurate either. That's a really tough question.
It is a tough question. It's one I've been struggling to try to put into words and find an answer to. Maybe Mike, when we do Football and Other Efforts, will have a better answer to that question.
I'm not inspiring you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Simmons is the one that changes my opinion about what they think.
It just feels like to me that Mike is rarely right. He's almost always wrong. But in this instance, isn't it kind of a little bit exciting that you may see a completely different looking team, except for like Kevin Byard?
No, I'm all in. Like I'm not going to say this as a fan, but like as just a person who lives in Tennessee and Nashville who likes wanting to, like, I want to see them do well. The idea of a new quarterback as a number 1 or number 3 pick, a new quarterback, a new running backs, new receivers, new offensive line, all the big name, foundational pieces from the times gone by have moved on. Bud Dupree now is gone. I don't include Simmons in that conversation. I think this team is better with Simmons. I think it's better to have him long term. You got some news?
Oh no, you can't. Well,
you got to. If we're live here, you can't read tweets we don't get confirmation.
Well, here's the thing. I would have to hear the clip. Here's the tweet.
Is it a verifiable source?
It's Rich Eisen, the top 5 rumors coming from heard at the NFL Combine. Now, I can't hear the clip, but you can go to the Rich Eisen show, is posted 35 minutes ago on Twitter, and hear for yourself. But it's supposedly this guy says Rich Eisen says that he heard the Bears are long down the road to trading the first overall pick. Teams have been identified. Compensation is being hammered out. All of this around the same time.
I mean, it's Simmons. All these guys were in the combine getting drunk and talking to each other late at night. They're all coming back to their
This is where you hear like legit
shit. They come back to their capologists and their wives and the owner, and they all have meetings all day, Sunday night and Monday right now. They're still meeting probably, and they're sort of taking all that info, that intel they got over the weekend, and they're organizing it all across the war room. And then they're looking at that. Why do you think the Dupree news happened today?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, there's all of this works together. And again, Dupree just saves him like $9 million this year, $10 million this year.
And I think that was because they were trying to hammer something out throughout the week, because Teron did say he was hearing that it's highly possible or highly likely or something like that he could be back.
A lot of qualifiers in that sentence.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, the name of the game, and that's good reporting to have your qualifiers in. And I feel like what that this last week was them, and the reason, I kind of joked about it. I said, Dupree may not have been cut because nobody answered the phone last week. Yeah. And I think they were trying to hammer out like a restructure or a new deal, more likely a new deal, because you don't have to have the player's permission for a restructure. But they were trying to do a new deal to try to keep them on and not have to create a hole that they don't need to create.
Yeah.
Now,
because they do need an edge
rusher now. He's a great edge class, but logic wins out.
Yep.
If he's not wanting to budge at your number, that's a guy you just let go.
Yep.
And that's what happened, that over the weekend they just couldn't come to terms, and they're like, okay, we're going to cut your ass March 15th, you're a free agent.
I think back to your sort of like 10,000-foot view of what's going on this offseason. We said it at the very end of the year. Like, this could be the most influential, most important, and most exciting offseason in Tennessee Titans franchise history. And it starts with hiring a new general manager, because once you do that, you are plotting the course for the organization, but he has to
It's a 5-year plan. We're in year one of a 5-year plan of Ran Carthon that has been built together with him, Amy Adams Strunk, and Mike Vrabel.
And you have to go about it systematically. You have to systematically execute your plan. And again, some of those pieces are going to come and go inside of the plan. Like, you could bring a piece in, and that's a temporary piece, the way John Robinson technically did in his first
blue jeans were a bad choice, my friend.
I was gonna say, you look very warm. He has long sleeve sweatshirt on, and
well,
jeans.
This morning when I took Huxley out, and I took him out like at 9, it was still cold, and I didn't check the weather, and I put everything on, and then I walk outside to get in the car, and I go, well, fuck. Too late now.
I am wearing flip-flops, a pair of shorts, and a T-shirt. Just not that anyone cares.
But speaking of...
But can I just, real fast, because a lot of people have said this in the comments, and I want to validate all your emotions. I'm here to validate all your emotions in the comments. Titanic, S-Rob, Daniel, all you guys. I think you should be... I know getting rid of Derrick Henry feels sad. It feels sad. Don't get in your feelings.
Stop getting attached to players.
This is an exciting moment in time historically for this franchise, because if they do it right, they could be a different team for the next 12 years.
Let me ask you a question.
It's exciting.
Audience member, listeners, watchers, whatever you're doing.
And thank you for doing all those
show. If you had Derrick Henry on your team and someone came in on fantasy football and you have Derrick Henry and offered you draft picks, you're probably taking it, right? So why wouldn't a GM take it in real life? There you go. You are not attached to your fantasy football players. Do not get attached to these fantasy players, because you really don't know them.
I do understand, though, why like a 9-year-old kid would be in love with Derrick Henry.
Hopefully, if a 9-year-old kid is listening to this show,
that's a valid point. It's good. First of all, great parenting.
Yes,
it's great parenting. By the way, Kingston Group Pharmacy, we love you guys. This place has been spectacular to hang out with this year during the Titans run. Look at this place. We got beautiful weather. We got beautiful food. We got beautiful people. Zach is sweating profusely. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful place to be. Come to the pharmacy. Kingston Group, buildkg.com, of course. We have so much more stuff we wanted to talk about today.
We still got time.
And we got a little bit of time.
We got 7 minutes.
But I want to talk Georgia culture. I want to talk about draft picks. But we got a lot of shows between now and the NFL draft. And I bet you a lot of news between now and the NFL draft.
Here's your budget pre-analysis. We called it. There you go. This is not a surprise.
So victory lap for Zach Lyons on Derek Carr to the Saints.
Yeah.
Victory.
I don't really want to take a Bud Dupree victory.
I don't think you need to, because we kind of
we all knew that. That's not a Zach exclusive one.
Half a victory lap on projecting 2 shows ago that Derrick Henry would be a prime trade target. No question about that. I think we can do. I'll say this. I'll give you half a victory lap on Rodgers should he stay in Green Bay. If he stays in Green Bay, you get a full one. But right now you're already kind of halfway down the track. So all right,
feeling good.
The combine takeaways, I'll just give you my first couple of things, and then you can get into some more details. But when I look at the Titans' positions of need, in particular now without Dupree being gone, edge, this is the deepest edge class, pass rushing class that I've seen.
So fucking athletic.
Ever that I've ever seen. Ever.
I wrote about it on stackingtheinbox.com, $4 a month. Get you all kinds of great content. I got all kinds of free agency trackers. There's going to be a lot of more devices coming. But I was
spreadsheets everywhere.
I was watching this edge class, and I go, holy shit.
Yes,
I was like, I know that everybody said this was a deep edge class, but I didn't know it was a deeply athletic edge class.
Lots of bendy, flexible dudes that can run around a lot.
Like it changed we talked about it on Thursday, how this 11th pick has kind of turned into this purgatory pick for us anyway. And I'm thinking,
I don't know.
Look, if it's down to Broderick Jones, Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter, no, I'm out of Lucas Van Ness. I'm out on baby Hercules, or whatever they call him, or Nolan Smith. I'm taking Nolan Smith, Joey Porter, or Christian Gonzalez over Broderick Jones. I do not care that.
My other takeaway is it was the corners class is extremely talented and very deep. I think the safeties are pretty talented. You can get them much later, But one of my takeaways was the top shelf talent at corner
It's
that
like,
will be available at 11
yeah,
is very much a possibility. Now, is that the smartest use of that 11th pick
versus a trade back? No.
Trade back
Or
or
trade
trade up?
I mean, obviously, if you're at the 11th pick, you can already trade up. So
I don't know how many left tackles are in this class.
Paris Johnson.
He's the only one in your opinion?
If I would say that you could take a chance on Blake Freeland, who tested really well. He's got a big major flaw you have to fix, and I think that Jalen Duncan, he showed up over 300 pounds, which is a good thing for him, and he still maintained his athleticism. I think you could take a chance on him, but everybody else is like Cody Mock, Peter Skoronski, are guards, and I think that John Gaines is a guard. It's kind of weird. The edge and corner is obviously a need because if you're looking to the future, you are going to need someone to pair with Harold Landry. Obviously, now that Bud Dupree's gone, but also Christian Fulton can't be relied on to stay healthy. Roger McCreary is small; he's a small little man.
I think I like Roger McCreary.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be good. But
I mean, he's going to be fine, but you can't. He's not a shutdown corner. You need a shutdown corner because, especially if you're not getting the quarterback. Because if you're not getting the quarterback, the only way to stop all the other quarterbacks is through defense.
No, I came away from this weekend because I don't love all the testing stuff in terms of like changing what my eyes told me watching a player for a full year. Was that corner and pass rusher are two far more likely situations at 11 than what I initially thought. And it's because they're so deep, which also could be a reason to take one at 41, which is also why I think teams are looking to get into those top 3 to get a quarterback. Because if you're the Colts or if you're the Panthers or if you're any of these teams that might want a quarterback, Titans, Texans, Saints, or not Saints, Seahawks, you can wait till the first 10 picks of the second round to get a really good edge rusher. You don't need to have Will Anderson. You can take your quarterback and then come back and get your edge rusher at the top of the second round because it's so ridiculously deep. So I think there's like 2 or 3 great receivers. I would not take a receiver until later.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, the wide receivers were underwhelming, except for the wide receivers I really liked heading into the Senior Bowl and coming out of the Senior Bowl. They were all awesome.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel really good about my wide receiver scouting.
You should.
But, like...
It's all that beer you drank.
Yeah. Jordan Addison, not out on him.
The numbers were not good.
Yeah, I'm out on him completely. Like, I like Downs, I like Flowers, I like Trey Palmer. I like those guys, but like, are you drafting a slot only guy really high?
No.
And that's the problem. Like, if this team was in a different makeup, I wouldn't even say do it at 41. Because I feel like if this team was in a different makeup situationally, like if they didn't have Kyle Phillips, and I know that Josh Downs is considerably better than Kyle Phillips, but you need a guy bigger than 5'9" on the perimeter.
So let me ask. So
like, right now,
we got a lot of time to talk about this in the offseason, but I may be the most bullish person, I don't know, in this market on Treylon Burks being a 1. Like,
I would say that you probably. I think the upside is there, but you still need a number 2 opposite him.
I agree, which is why you maybe are more flexible position wise to take somebody that's maybe. Now,
I mean, do you really think that Josh?
Not at 11.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about 41.
I really like Josh Downs, so but again, I'd rather trade back to like 57 and get a receiver at 57.
See, I'm on Rashee Rice, Jonathan Mingo, guys that are young that can play inside, outside, give you positional versatility. Dontavian Wicks is another guy. I still like Michael Wilson. I know his athletic testing wasn't like off the charts good. It was still great.
Well, there's some also elite receivers in the NFL that aren't like these freakazoids. Like, again, Devontae Adams and Nuke Hopkins didn't test. They're 4-5 guys. Like, they're not even 4-4 guys. I will say I think that the slot-only type of receiver doesn't really fit into what Rand Carthon has been telling us for weeks, which is we need versatility, we need positionless football, we need guys that can do different things and play different positions. So I will say this. I loved Anthony Richardson as a backup quarterback 2 years ago. He didn't show me everything I wanted to see on the tape, but it's obvious the athletic ability is there. And if they are going to keep Tannehill and they can get him at 3 or 5, I'm okay. I've come around on Anthony Richardson as if you're willing to be patient for a year, not because he ran a 4.4, because we told you he was going to run a 4.4.
Yeah.
It's not any of that stuff. It's that I think he just needs a little bit of seasoning, and when he does, his ceiling is higher than the other 2 guys. So if the Titans end up with Anthony Richardson, I would be really excited if I'm a fan. I don't know what that cost is. Where does it happen?
Yeah,
is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 11? I don't know.
I guess you have to hear that, hey, for me, it's like, okay, if they're trading up to 2 or trading up to 3 or whatever the trade is, that if they lose out on the 1, I need to hear that the Titans put in a really damn good offer for number one, because that lets you know at least they have the idea in mind that we are getting a quarterback. Like, you know, if it just
by the time we talk on Thursday, there could be a new number one pick, and
Could
it might not be the Titans.
Yeah,
because it sounds like they're already down the road on making a deal. The question is if you trust all three, can you go to three? That is what I want to know.
Yeah.
If again, for every team, right?
Right.
Seattle, Carolina, Titans, no matter who. Either way, it's exciting, man. It's exciting. Bud Dupree, Taylor Lewan, all these guys are gone. The contracts are off the books. They're clearing space. You got new structure, new decision makers, new strategy, potentially new quarterback and running back. The whole thing is new and fun and exciting. This is the NFL, man. It should be exciting. Don't get stressed out about a Jeffery Simmons not tweeting.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's take some deep breaths. Where can people find, read, pay for, support Zach Lyons?
At FWordSpot on Twitter. Head to stackinginbox.com and pay $4 a month, and you're going to get all kinds of extra content. No, there's so many combine takeaways that I had. Ended up writing 2,800 words today, and I was not even expecting to write 2,800 words.
Just pours out of him.
I mean, like, well, I got to start talking about Bryce Young's weight and how people are fucking idiots and all that kind of stuff. Like, just don't overthink it.
Look,
nobody in the NFL is overthinking it. Everybody has now said, oh, last year, Bryce Young, unquestioned number one overall draft pick. Well, now that we're near the draft, oh man, he missed that one game because of an AC sprain that he probably still could have played in. And this weight, it's only been the same weight that he's been playing at. Anyway, I got all my takes on there.
Here's the thing with it: he would be unprecedentedly small and short to be a first round draft pick in the NFL. It doesn't mean he's not an outlier, because he's pretty good at football.
Yeah, here's the thing: I don't care about outliers. I don't care about any of that stuff, because Bryce Young is an exceptional college prospect. That's all you need to know.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Full stop. Go to the pharmacy, everybody. Make sure you support local business. Kingston Group, if you have any problems or needs with your house, buying, selling, renovating, custom builds, anything, make sure you talk to them, buildkg.com. And the pharmacy, our wonderful and awesome, amazing friends here over on McFerrin Avenue in East Nashville. Soda Rail, burgers, tots, brats, all these fancy dipping sauces here. And look at this garden. Look at this place to sit here and eat. You can sit here and eat on a beautiful, gorgeous Monday and watch Zach sweat in his jeans. Otherwise, football and other F words. We got all kinds of stuff for you across the 440 Sports Network as well. Thank you to all of you. You guys were awesome today. So many people in the comments. We do appreciate that.
We'll be here Thursday.
And thanks to my brother and sister-in-law for this awesome Florida Gators hat.
Florida Gators hat.
I do appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out, boys. We'll talk to you guys on Thursday.